One of my favourite jobs I ever had, and I'm sad it came to an end because I would have still be there if I had the chance. Was when I was working on a dairy farm, and I started in March 2013, and it was around the time I was really starting to ramp up my meditation as well. I was really keen on meditation, and I knew I wasn't going to make it as an athlete, and I found myself on a dairy farm, and my first shift there was at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was -15, and it was one of the coldest marches on record, and I remember I said, how do you deal with this? I'd never had a proper sort of job outside in the same way as a farmer does, and he just said, oh, you put on another coat and carry on. And I still to this day find the idea of keep putting on coats until you're not cold quite a strange concept, but for a farmer he just put on another coat and carried on. And then in July it was about as hot as it is now, something over 30, and I complained about being too hot. The farmer says, you're always complaining. 6 months ago you said you'd be too cold. Don't say the same thing to me next winter. And I still think that's one of my favourite teachings in Buddhism. And when we spoke about Buddhism, we often misquoted Buddhism and actually quoted Star Wars, but I think that shows his real wisdom. He'd never really read any books on Dhamma, but he spent a lifetime mostly by himself, mostly watching the trees and complaining to himself about the weather and the discomfort of the cold and the discomfort of the hot, so much that he'd got bored of the complaining, and he'd just accepted nature as it was. And he knew a lot about nature. He'd be daft if he didn't know what a hawthorn was, but he didn't care about the names of the birds or the plants, and he didn't really care in terms of knowledge. He just liked it all. I remember saying, if you won the lottery, what would you do? I said, oh, I'll buy a tractor. So, but you've got tractors. What if you won the Euro Millions? What if you won 50 million? Buy 2 tractors. He couldn't envision a world outside of farming, and he couldn't imagine a life of sitting down not doing anything. It was just so beautiful working with him, and I really enjoyed it. But that teaching, and I often wondered how he got from a normal, average person to this sort of walking, farming sadhu. And I think it was just exposure and repeated practice. And I noted today it's all my favourite regular people. There's other favourite regular people, but we haven't got any new people. And I like seeing new people, but there's something special about seeing the same regular faces, because I know that the honeymoon period of meditation has far left all of us, and we're left with regular practice, and the honeymoon period is as wonderful as all honeymoon periods are. Regular practice, we start to notice subtle shifts over time, and we slowly see ourselves changing with repeated exposure to either farming or meditation. And intense periods of meditation obviously can produce dramatic shifts, and sometimes those dramatic shifts stay. Often they stay a bit, so while we might be thinking we'll be walking on, I don't know, a few inches off the ground for the rest of our lives. After 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 red lights driving home, we're back more to reality, and we're not quite as high on meditation as we were right at the end of that retreat or something. But repeated exposure to retreats leads to a certain thing, but equally coming here week after week leads to a different sort of practice. You're not looking for big gains, so we're looking for enjoyment. People would be daft if they came here looking for anything big, because they won't find it, but they might find an enjoyability in the moment that helps. And I think I was just sort of using those two reflections of the repeated meditation, the effects of meditation with farming, and I think there's parallels, and that's why in Thai forest Buddhism, work periods there's 6 work periods a week, and not particularly arduous compared to regular people work periods, but they are working primarily in a physical nature. They're not really doing administrative tasks. They are moving bits of wood around, moving books from one library to another in certain cases, but it's physical work, and that can really be beneficial, and it's about using what we have in our lives to learn from. You can certainly learn a lot more by walking the dog every morning at the same time than you can from, so maybe not every meditation teacher, because I don't want to disparage and speak pejoratively of others, but certainly this meditation teacher, you can learn so much just walking the dog every morning at the same time and seeing the weather change, not only throughout the seasons, but from year to year, and that can be all the teaching that we need. So yeah, I'm glad everyone's here in the heat, and it shows our collective commitment to this practice of meditation for whatever reasons we all do it. But yeah, hopefully you've all had fun, and yeah, thank you.